Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello, Fiona. I'm glad you picked up on my Zoolander reference in that photo. Very proud. Very proud. Megan will be delighted as well. Is there anyone else out there except for Fiona? Everyone's busy getting their bits and pieces ready. So I've got a whole lot of things. I have to admit right now, right at the beginning, I failed on the chocolate teddy bear biscuits. So, but if any of you have got chocolate teddy bear biscuits at the ready, I will tell you what to do with them towards the end of things. So we're going to go on a little, I've just got sticky stuff on my hands. We're going to go on a little, good evening, Paul and Roz. How lovely to see you. And Fiona is already smelling the Shiraz and getting green peppercorns in a jar, which I think is actually a really nice descriptor of the pepperiness of this wine. So we're going to be drinking the Moorooduc Estate Magic Stalks Shiraz, which Jeremy and Peter and I are working on rebranding and renaming. So watch this space. I'm going to put it in a, hello, Craig. How are you? How's the Goodman household? I'm going to pop this in here because I think a little quick bit of air will be good for this little Shiraz. The Shiraz 2 weeks in a row. Jill's horrified because she doesn't really like Shiraz as a grape variety. So if there's anyone else out there who's upset with me about that as well, I apologise. This is the last Shiraz that we'll do for a little while. And I think it's completely, well, very different from the previous last week's wine. Hello, Alison and Andrew. Lovely to see you. I'm using a all-purpose Magnum glass. There you go, wine in the glass. Excellent. That all worked well. Hello, Jeff and Sue. How you going? Oh, Sue's still not well. It's no good. Hello, Kay. How you going? You've got a sound issue at my end or your end? I hope there's everyone else hearing me all right. Not looking at David over there. Good on you, Fiona. So the Magic Stalks Shiraz. Oh, a bit of fuzz on my nose. Don't you hate that? Does that happen to anybody except for me, that you go to smell in the glass and you've got just a little bit of something fluffy on your nose and you can feel it when you go, maybe it's in the glass, maybe it's from the polishing. Anyway, hello, Marianne and Jason. How you going? Samoyed fluff, absolutely. Well, I shouldn't get poodle fluff, but I don't know where the fluff's coming from. I can't see it, but I can certainly feel it. Anyway, I think I've sorted that out now. That's better. So a completely different Shiraz from last week's. The fruit sauce is different and the winemaking's really different. And I've gone a bit retro and a bit wild with the I was actually thinking when I was putting together my so hello Kim, how are you going? You're the 2020 Magic Stalks. Good work. How delicious. Hello, Dies. Lovely to see you, Nareem, and all the family. Kay can't hear me. You have to, oh, okay. Come back, Kay, because everyone else can hear me. So hopefully you can sort it out. But I was thinking when I was putting together my little selection of tastes that we've almost got a 1970s dinner party. Hello, Tallulah. Do you want to come up here? Come on. I've got, this is Tallulah Bell. Oh, there you go. People are banging things in the kitchen and she's very nervous. She's a bit upset about it all. And Polly's not talking to me because she's got snacks from Jill. Craig, yours might be off. What do you mean off? What can you smell? So much naughty food in the house. I know, Cotty. It's outrageous. So yes, I've got some cabana and I've got some cheese and I've got some black olives, but I've also got cheesels and cheese twisties, and I roasted my vegetables, but they went a little bit squishy rather than crunchy. So I failed on the veggie roasting. They still taste good. Tallulah, are you going to get down and go and see Peter? No. Okay, you can stay there, but I kind of need to work over the top of you now. Sharpie and Rhoda back. Yay! Hello, welcome. Pate Allison. Yeah, that's pretty 70s. So let's taste the wine first and then I'll get into the food because the food's kind of beckoning to me. So the wine we had last week was McIntyre Vineyard Shiraz. So grown here on this property. This fruit comes from the Osborne Vineyard. It's a little it's a little parcel of vines that Richard and Jeremy for years said, let's graft this over to Pinot Noir, and never quite got round to it. And then eventually said, okay, let's make a Shiraz. And Jeremy wanted to play around with carbonic maceration and fermentation, a whole bunch of fermentation, but de-stemming and pressing it off partway through fermentation. So looking at the okay, on the phone, at least it's working on the phone, I hope. So the winemaking is quite experimental, and if you look at the label, it tells you exactly what we did when we did it. We've made this for a few years now. I'm trying to remember. Kay will have on record what the first one was. Richard might remember. Was it 2019, the first Magic Stalks Shiraz? I can't quite remember. Jeremy might be around. Jeremy's off at the moment. Oh, Coddy and John are sending me naughty food pictures. Flu palate, Craig. Oh, no, that's no good. There's so much sickness going around. I had gastro last weekend, but I'm better now. So I'm so sorry to hear that you're not feeling well, and that might not be helping the wine. But it does also tend, I think, to look better with some air in it, which is why I gave it a good decant, and also just keep swirling it and warming it up a little bit with your hands to kind of get it in a hopefully in a slightly better space. Jackie, the strangest tasting platter we've ever had yet. Oh, yum, yeah, absolutely. Hello, Sarah. How are you going? All the tricks. Good to see you. Who else is there? Paul and Roz, not a big fan of Shiraz, but this version with lots of fruit. Yeah, I like this. I like this version with lots of fruit. Shell, you're here. You're being naughty and haven't closed your laptop. Shell, stop work right now. It's hard these days, isn't it? Oh, Craig, that's no good at all. Aussie meats, kangaroo loin and veggies. Yum. Okay, so you haven't gone the junk food. Come on, Tallulah. I think you need to get down because I can't really work with you. Say bye-bye to people. Bye, everyone. Bye, bye, bye. She's a little bit freaked out by the kitchen noises. Go and talk to Peter. He'll look after you. Fiona. Oh, you got the Alison's had the kangaroo sausages. Fiona's just gone with what you had, ribeye and chimichurri. Oh, that'd be delicious. So I agree. I think this wine will go very well with kangaroo. It'll go really well with ribeye. A little bit of spice is not going to hurt it. So absolutely, what we ate last week would probably be, I'm sure, would be delicious with this. I've got most of the naughty foods that I suggested, sans chocolate tea biscuit, but yes, I think what I decided to do was have a look to see what people out there in the world say go with Shiraz, and maybe have a bit of a play with some things. So different fruit sauce. Hello, Polly. How are you going? Are you all full of Jill's boning quails in the kitchen, and Polly's been barking at her because she wants bits of quail. Not a spoilt dog at all. So different fruit sauce. The Osborne Vineyards at the other end of Derrill Road, just at Foxy's hangout. We've been leasing that vineyard and taking Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris from there for, I reckon, at least probably nearly 20 years now. It's a long time. And the Shiraz is, as I said before, something that we kind of kept overlooking and saying we don't really want to do anything with that. And then we thought we'd have a play. So what did we do? We packed it and put it in a bag. And then we let it start, and we put CO2 all over it. Now let's have a look. That's what it says in here. March, April 2021. On the 22nd of March, we picked it into giant bags and covered it in CO2. It's very small writing, so I have to read over the top of my glasses, which is slightly embarrassing. But anyway, just ignore that. On the 2nd of April, we walked on top of it for 3 days. So that's quite a long time between the 22nd of March and the 2nd of April. The wine just sat there in a bag, sealed up, with no access to oxygen, and so therefore, and all the fruit intact. So it meant that We weren't getting a normal yeast fermentation because the yeast needs oxygen to help it work. But we were getting this thing that we talked about last week called carbonic maceration, but in a much more intense way than we get in the McIntyre Shiraz, because we sealed it up in a bag and we let it get warm as well. That's the other trick with this wine. Let it get warm so that carbonic maceration smell comes out in the wine. What we're looking for is sort of a candy shop kind of aromatic. And Fiona said right at the beginning that it reminds her of the smell of green peppercorns in a jar, in a can. And I agree. There's a peppery note to it, but it's not fresh pepper. It's almost, for me, it's like pink peppercorns on a pink peppercorn tree. It's a little bit like green peppercorns as well. And there's this lovely kind of lifted floral raspberry rose petally kind of aromatic as well. It's a little bit Turkish Delight. It's a little bit raspberry jubes. It's a little bit red licoricey on the nose for me. So those kind of lolly shop characters. There's also a dark chocolate cocoa kind of note to it, which is why I suggested that we finish up the tasting with some chocolate. So if you've got chocolate there, resist the chocolate until you've tasted all the savoury things, because I think going back from chocolate to savoury food is going to be very difficult. But we will definitely do the chocolate thing at the end of this. There's a really lovely spice note here, which isn't pepper, which is not as exotic as the curry spices that we saw in the Shiraz last week. It's kind of softer and rounder, and it reminds me a little bit of the sort of a little bit of chili, a little bit of nutmeg, those kind of spices that you get in salami or in nutmeg. Fiona also nutmeg. So the spices that you'll put in a salami or a cabana to kind of spice it up are the spices that I see in this wine. And Peter was saying earlier that he was quite keen to have spaghetti bolognese with this. And Stephanie Alexander's got a spaghetti bolognese sauce recipe in her big Bible that's got nutmeg in it. And I always put quite a lot of nutmeg in it because I think it's rather delicious in the meaty, winey sauce on top of pasta. And I think this has got a bit of that. It's a little bit meaty, but it's also got that nutmeggy spice. Burberry's, Cotty, I've got to admit, I'm not really sure what Burberry's smell or taste like, but I will take your word for that. There's always something that you don't know, isn't there? It's got that lovely, and it reminds me, when I smell it, it reminds me of freshly cooked sausages. It reminds me of spaghetti bolognese sauce. It reminds me of also the spices that are nice on the pumpkin and the sweet potato. Often in America, they will cook pumpkin and sweet potato with cinnamon and nutmeg on it, a little bit of salt as well. I thought that might be going a bit too far, but even a bit of pumpkin pie a la the American style could work really, really well with this wine, I think, because it can cope with those slightly sweeter vegetable flavours. So I'm going to have a taste, and I haven't even got on to tasting, but they're American. Yes, Alison. On the palate, Burberry's are American, Alison, or pumpkin pie? Elucidate. On the palate, the wine has got this lovely crunchiness, and it's not too heavy. It's got a tangy acidity. It's got really nice kind of really kind of soft but crunchy tannins, and the fruit is much more savoury and a sort of sour plum on the palate than it is on the nose. And that's because the wine was, after we foot stomped it, everything's too sweet in America. That's correct. Oh, they're American. They like too much sweetness on their stuff. Yes, exactly. So that's why I didn't think we'd put cinnamon nutmeg on the pumpkin and sweet potato. I actually failed again and didn't get roast potato shell, which is what I really wanted to make tonight, but I forgot. So anyway, I'll just have to deal with that. But I do think those roasted root vegetables, including roast potato, work really, really well with these flavours because there's that spice and there's that lovely red fruit, and it's pretty yummy. So I'm looking forward to tasting the roast veggies with this in a minute. But we foot stomped it to really extract a lot of colour and tannin early on in the process after the carbonic maceration. And we then de-stemmed the wine partway through its fermentation. So that is amazing in and of itself, because it doesn't really seem logical that you could de-stem fruit while it's going partway through fermentation. We were worried that the stems wouldn't come away from the fruit, but it worked really well. And we got these lovely stalks that were dyed red by the wine, and we got the wine off the stalks early enough that there's not a lot of that stalky kind of green character, or those stalky tannins in this wine. It's got a brightness and a lift and a softness to it that is very different from the wine from last week. So let me start with, because you're all having it with the food and stuff, Mersey Valley cheddar is, I think, if for those of you who've got it, Shell's having it, does make it, this wine makes it less salty, more milky, less tangy, because the acids kind of play with each other. So I'm going to have a little bit of my roast pumpkin with my wine first. And pumpkin and sweet potato both get really sweet when you roast them. Caramelizes the sugars in the vegetable. And they're supposed to go really well with Shiraz, but for me, they're a bit sweet, and the Shiraz and the sweetness of the pumpkin particularly kind of fight each other. The sweet potato actually works better because it's a little bit firmer, and it's a little bit more distinct in its flavors, less sweet, more kind of a little bit tangy even, which is weird. I wouldn't usually describe sweet potato as tangy. I think if I put those into a roast with some roasted carrots and some roast potato and that kind of thing, that would be delightful. And Fiona, you were saying you've got roast potatoes and pumpkin with a hint of cumin seed, and that would be awesome. So Jackie, you're saying the Mersey's good, the cheese Doritos are taking over, Kalamata olive's good, Cumberland sausage is good, all salty foods, absolutely. Okay, the pumpkin brings out the aniseed for you, Fiona. I'll come back to that. I'm going to have a bit of my cabana, because I've got Somerville Butcher's free-range cabana. It's the best cabana out there. If you're ever going through Somerville and go to the butcher's there, you can buy it there. They do also sell it at Tully's for about 10 times the price. So, but it is, I've always loved cabana. It's kind of the processed, one of my processed meats of choice. But this is delicious. He smokes it on site and it's really beautiful. So smoky, porky meat. And that's really good with the wine, because the fattiness and the smokiness and the sweetness of the pork and the meat really works well with the fruit, and the tanginess of the wine, and acid works really well with the fat, which is delicious. Love this cabana. Cody, I hardly ever buy cabana, because when I have it in the house, I just eat it. I eat it like lollies. So better not to have it in the house, but every now and again for a treat. It's pretty special. And if you want to have a party, you can have your 70s party with your half a grapefruit and stick it on toothpicks, and put some cheese on as well, and you can have a hedgehog, which would be great fun. So Peter and Karen, you're running late. That's okay. I also am minus the teddy bear biscuits. So has anyone got teddy bear biscuits? If you do, let me know and I will talk you through it. If you don't, we'll do the teddy bear biscuits another time, because it is a very fun thing to do. Very silly, very fun. Okay, I'm going in for some cheese.
Sarah, good work. I love your dedication to the cause. I will tell you about the teddy bear biscuits when we get to the chocolate. Okay, bit of cheese. So Mersey Valley cheese it's one of those cheeses you can get it at all the supermarkets. I can't say all supermarkets in Australia, but it's very common in Australia. And I've always loved it, and I was a bit of a snob about it for a long time, but now I'm embracing it. It's great. It's one of the best cheeses for melting on cheese on toast or in a cheese toasty. But I love it just as it is. It's very creamy and crumbly at the same time. It's got a lovely saltiness to it. It's a really lovely cheese style. And my cousin Rachel, hi Rachel, I know you're not watching, but maybe one day you will. My cousin Rachel, who grew up in Tasmania and lived in Australia for a long time, but lives in New Zealand now, comes to Australia and the first thing that she wants is Mersey Valley cheese, and she fills her suitcase full of it when she goes home. It is a real classic Australian cheese. I think the wine brings out, as I can't remember who said, someone said before, brings out the creaminess in the Mersey Valley. And Nareem, good. I'm glad you got the chocolate teddy bear biscuits. They're hard to find, and I meant to get them the other day, but I didn't, and then I forgot until it was half an hour before we were due to start, and I didn't think it was safe to run out to the supermarket with only half an hour to go. Anyway, I'll talk you through it. It'll be worth it. It makes the cheese taste really milky, and the saltiness and the tanginess of the cheese kind of fades away and fades into the wine, and it brings up the fruitiness of the wine as well. So I have cheese twisties and I have cheesels. I've got to say, Jill and I did a cheese twisty and cheesels taste off before we started, and we both agreed that cheesels are much better than cheese twisties. I didn't remember that as a child. Twisties were my favourite, and I think that's probably because they're smaller and you get more twisties in the... Twisties are better than cheesels, Fiona? No. I don't think so. I think from now, at the moment, for me, cheesels are better than twisties. But I'm going to see how they go with the wine because I haven't done that yet. So twisties first. Alison's on a twisty. Oh, my gosh. The twisties are amazing with the wine. The twisties are really salty and not too... They're cheesy, but obviously fake cheese. But that MSG kind of saltiness works really, really well with the wine, amazingly. Chicken twisties are not the best of all, Craig. I'm sorry. You've lost me there completely. But that's all right. We can still be friends, even if you prefer chicken twisties. Twisties. Jeff is on twisties. Okay, so the twisties were very good with the wine. I like the cheesels on their own. Cheetos are not good with the wine. They make it acid, Peter and Karen. And somebody else said that they had cheese Doritos and they weren't working with they also were not working with the wine. Cheese twisties work. You've also always got to put a cheesel on your finger before you eat it. So the cheesels I would choose to eat on their own every day of the week, but they're just a little bit too salty for the wine, and the cheese flavour is too cheesy. I hate to say that, but I think the twisties work better with the wine, even though I like the cheesels better. Twisties are better, but I still love cheesels, and the cheesels are pretty yummy with the wine. All right, I'm going to leave the chicken and cheese twisties discussion for another day. We can do, and we'll come back to that. Jill wouldn't bother. Anyway, I'm getting through this is the problem when you do wine tasting with food, that the wine disappears a little bit quicker because you've got to have a sip of the wine while you're tasting the food. And the thing that I haven't tasted yet is a Kalamata olive, and Shiraz for me always has a slight savoury olive kind of a note to it. And this wine smells like black olives, as well as all of those kind of hints of lolly kind of characters, and the plum fruit, and then the sour plum on the palate. There's this lovely savoury black Kalamata olive aroma and a touch of bitterness on the wine, which makes me think that it should go well with olives. The wrinkly dry black olive, yes, Fiona, but also just your basic Kalamata olive, which has always been my favourite black olive. All right, here goes. I think generally olives and wine are quite difficult to match. I think green olives are great with sherry, dry sherry. That olive, while it was in my mouth and the wine went into my mouth, the olive was overwhelming for the wine. But now I just have a little bit of olive flavour left in my mouth. The wine actually works really well with it. And I think that tells us that if you're making something like Jill, what's it called? The French beef dish that you put olives in at the end, black olives in at the end. Beef with olives. Thanks, Jill. Very helpful. Jill has a dish that she's made a million times that you slow cook the beef. It's in tomatoes and onion. It's maybe even just called Boeuf Provençal, I'm not sure. But you stir in a handful of black olives at the end, and so they don't get cooked for the whole time, and they lift the flavour of the beef and tomato stew up to a totally different level. And that sort of flavour profile was going to work really well with a wine like this. Slow cooked meat with a bit of tomato, because it works with tomato. If anyone's eating little sausages with tomato sauce, that's also going to be very pleasing. The cabana is very pleasing with the wine because of the fat and the smokiness and the porkiness of it. The cheese is lovely because it's salty and tangy and creamy, and it just brings out the creaminess of the cheese and the fruitiness of the wine. I'm a bit nonplussed with the pumpkin, but pumpkins worked for some of you, absolutely. I think that the sweet potato works pretty well. I would have been happier if my sweet potato was a bit crunchier. I might try deep frying it next time to try and give it a bit more crunchiness. Paul and Karen have broken out the party pies. Party pies are fantastic with this wine. So I was going to say party pies, sausage rolls, even if you're like me and you don't mind a dirty steamed dim sim, then that could also work really well with this wine. Don't tell the style police though. Daube Provençal de Boeuf. Jill has come back after checking in her. Thank you, Jill. I was nearly there. So yeah, a daube it was the word that I was looking for. But party pies with this wine, little party sausages with this wine, fantastic. Okay, Fiona. 1993. 4 pub corner in Frankston, 3 a.m. dirty dim sims. Absolutely. You probably didn't have a lovely glass of Magic Stalks Shiraz to go with it, though. Okay, Shell, we used DBC Pinot Noir 23 in our slow cooker kangaroo shanks recently. Fantastic. Excellent. Good work. Plenty of Devil Bean Creek 23. Love your work. And you got it at a really good price too, I seem to remember. Craig, wow, we're floored. We just opened a very big Heathcote Shiraz to test our palates, and our palates are both shot. Going to struggle if this lasts. Going to have to live through. So, Craig, have you guys got COVID, or is it the flu? Or there's so many horrible bugs going around at the moment. So I hope you get your sense of smell and taste back soon. Jeff and Sue are having pork and pistachio terrine. Excellent work. Now, are you ready to go for the chocolate? It feels like we kind of rushed our way through, and I might just have another little bit of cheese to go with this wine. So this is the wine. We've tasted this a couple of times. Every time I look at it, again, it reminds me that our wines need a little bit of time in the bottle to show at their best. Even though it's an experimental wine, we sort of promote it in a slightly cheeky way. It's not a wine to just kind of get it out there, drink it, and move on to the next one. It opens up, it changes in the glass a lot. And it's got this lovely, now that it's been open for a while and having it with all these, naughty snacks, it's got this lovely, lovely, spicy, meaty richness to it, which I think is really delicious on the nose. And has that lovely, fresh brightness to it on the palate that just cleans up the creaminess of the cheese, the fattiness of the sausage, the everything in those orange cheese flavored crunchy things. I hate to think what's in them, but gee, they're yummy sometimes. So we then come to the whole conversation about chocolate and wine. And we have talked about this before. And I know that a lot of people out there like to have their chocolate and have their wine. And Paul and Roz, I agree. This is a really special wine. It's a different Shiraz. And one of the reasons that Jeremy and I are talking about giving the name and the label a bit of a makeover, because I think calling it an experimental wine, calling it Magic Stalks Shiraz, it kind of downgrades the quality of the wine that we've got happening here, which is pretty awesome. So, Kay, I found the first notes on the first taste different to the 2017 Shiraz, 1 barrel made of it, Osborne Vineyard, south of Moorooduc. Never wheel at 24 dozen. Yes, absolutely, 1 barrel. That's right, Kay. And 29. I remembered correctly. 2019 is the first batch. Okay, I'm stopping eating twisties now because I'm starting to feel slightly unwell from all the processed food. Chocolate and wine. It is a bit controversial. Chocolate and wine is not, for me, a go-to. I wouldn't say, I'm going to open a bar of chocolate and open a bottle of wine and sit on the sofa and watch a movie. I'd do one or the other. I'd have my chocolate, maybe some whiskey. I might have some wine and some of these things that we have that we've already talked about, savoury things, while I'm, sitting watching some telly, relaxing, whatever. The two of them together, though, is a little bit controversial. Jeff or Sue, so long as it's dark chocolate with Shiraz. So this is one of the things that people say. So with Shiraz, you want to match dark chocolate. With Pinot Noir, some people like to match a milk chocolate. I don't think that works at all, personally. And the one wine and chocolate match that I've seen that works, and I think I've mentioned this to you guys before, is either Sauvignon Blanc or, and I can't remember the name of the grape variety now, Torrentes from Argentina with white chocolate. So white wine that's quite floral and quite fruity with white chocolate works really, really well. But some people would say that white chocolate isn't chocolate because it doesn't have any cocoa in it. And some people would say that Sauvignon Blanc isn't wine because it has no soul. But, that's certainly not me. It was the horse with no name, absolutely, Kay. And Shell's having it with tiny teddies. Are they chocolate tiny teddies, Shell, or are they vanilla tiny teddies? The chocolate I have is my mother made these beautiful dark chocolate, what are they called? Truffles, chocolate truffles, little chocolate poos. This is very dark, lovely, high quality chocolate with cream. It's a ganache, yeah, and then made into balls and rolled in cocoa to give it a bit more bitterness. And what? And butter. So very healthy. And brandy, excellent. I know people who have made this kind of chocolate truffle with Shiraz in it rather than brandy. And that would be an interesting thing to do. Jill doesn't like Shiraz though, so I think I'm going to struggle to convince her to do that trial. But, what are people saying? Craig found Carbonic McIntyre Shiraz 2012 in the back of the cellar. Don't remember us tasting that. Was that the forerunner of this? The McIntyre Shiraz 2012 was 100% whole bunch, Craig. So that's why it would have been carbonic. but that's the McIntyre Shiraz. It's not. It's nothing to do. The Magic Stalks was basically Jeremy's idea. I think that's fair, isn't it, Dad? Yep. Dad says absolutely. So the Magic Stalks was Jeremy's idea. He wasn't with us when we were making the 2012. So that was carbonic. It was pretty good. The truffles should have been packed in. Jill, people would like 6 of the truffles each, please, in the next box. They're very good. I'll work on her with that. So very dark chocolate, bit of cream, bit of butter, bit of high quality cocoa on there. It's going to pack a punch. I'm going to have a little mouth. Oh, Shell's got the chocolate dip ones. Excellent. Not the star of the show. I'll tell you something. I don't know if you can do it with the chocolate teddy bear biscuits. The tiny teddy chocolate biscuits, Shell, but with a big chocolate teddy bear biscuit, you can do something really fun. Or a Tim Tam. So you guys have heard of a Tim Tam Slam, right? I'm going to taste this in a minute. But you've heard of a Tim Tam Slam, right? So with the chocolate, so those of you who've got chocolate teddy bear biscuits and you've got a tumbler, put some wine in the tumbler and then get your teddy bear biscuit. And the teddy bear biscuit, as I recall, has its hands up and it's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So it's sticking its toe out and it's got ears. So what you have to do is bite just the end of the toe off of the foot that's sticking out. And then you bite off the opposite ear. So the toe sticking out, bite the end of the toe off. Just the top of the ear you bite off. And then you stick the toe of the teddy bear biscuit into the Shiraz and you put the ear in your mouth and you suck really hard. And if the chocolate teddy bear biscuit has a proper coating of chocolate all over it and there are no holes in it, you can suck wine all the way up through the biscuit inside the shell of teddy bear biscuit, chocolate, inside the shell of chocolate. Once you get wine in your mouth, then you have to eat the biscuit quite quickly, and it's rather wonderful. This is the best way to have Shiraz and chocolate, I believe. It's very silly. It's lots of fun, and you can do it with fortified wines, and you can do it with a coffee if you want to. But the thing that the wine doesn't do that a coffee does do is the wine doesn't melt the chocolate. So it's like a tiramisu almost, but it works very well with Baileys as well, Jeff. Absolutely. So those of you who've got your chocolate teddy bear biscuits, I'm waiting for you to let me know how good that is. We will do it together one day when maybe in between boxes we'll do it with maybe some muscat from Rutherglen. But if you've got your chocolate teddy bear biscuit and you've bitten the corner of the ear off and the opposite toe off and you've stuck the toe in the wine, suck the wine up through the teddy bear biscuit and then eat the teddy bear biscuit, it's awesome. It elevates the teddy bear biscuit by about 1,000% because teddy bear biscuits, even chocolate coated teddy bear biscuits, in and of themselves are a relatively ordinary biscuit on their own. But once you've sucked booze through them, then they taste exquisite. It is a bit like Black Forest cake, Coddy. And depending on your preference, obviously the biscuit inside the chocolate sweetens the wine, so you've got a sweetened wine effect there as well. And then the chocolate works well with the wine as well because it's dark compound chocolate. So I got my fancy chocolate truffle because I don't have a teddy bear biscuit, but I'm looking forward to. So Jackie, you're doing the teddy bear biscuit. It is. It's like posh Black Forest cake. How good is that, Nareem? And I think was it who else had teddy bear biscuits? Someone else. Anyway, it's so good. It's a very naughty thing to do to red wine, but it's a really fun thing to do with people who understand. Jackie's mind has been blown by that. It's very fun. If you didn't do it tonight, try it one day. We'll do it together. Peter and Karen have got 85% Lind and a first for me, 100% Lind, 100% cocoa. 85 is better with the wine. The best overall. Excellent. Sarah, that's right. The Tricks have got the teddy bear biscuits as well. Sometimes the chocolate teddy bear biscuits are not completely coated in chocolate. So if you've got a hole in the chocolate, you need to put your finger over the hole in the chocolate to suck it through. So that's a bit of an extra level of expertise that needs to be taken on. It's good fun. It's a really fun way to end a dinner party, as long as people don't have to drive home at the end of it. All right, chocolate truffle. Richard, there's some chocolate truffles here if you want one. So this makes the wine taste really different, and I really like it. Black Forest cake, absolutely. Yeah. The cocoa and the bitterness of the wine kind of balance each other out, and the dark chocolate brings out the raspberry and plum fruit. It doesn't really, it kind of, it makes the wine to me look a bit less confectionery, but it works actually surprisingly well with the chocolate. As long as you don't mind the fact that the wine and the chocolate change each other quite a lot, which is pretty interesting. Alison, you're going to try it afterwards. Homemade chocolate shortbread. Nice, that'll be yummy. Okay, I'm going to eat the rest of this chocolate truffle because it's too yummy to leave on the plate. What do you think, Dad? It works all right, doesn't it? Dad thinks it works all right. And that's a big thing because Mum and Dad have always been very anti-chocolate with wine. I think because the truffles are a bit boozy, they've got some brandy in them, that kind of makes them sink in with the wine a little bit. Yeah, and the bitterness and the darkness of the chocolate gets kind of softened out by the wine. For those of you who might have decided to try milk chocolate with this wine, I think it'll probably be too sweet and not intense enough, not sort of bitter enough to work with the wine. But I know a lot of people like to eat milk chocolate and drink Shiraz as well. So if it works for you, absolutely keep doing it. These rules are always made to be broken. And I think that just because it's not a thing for me doesn't mean that it's not a thing for you. So someone back there was saying that it was really, really good with their dark chocolate with currants and nuts. Who was that? I can't make it go down now. Jackie. Chocolate is covered in currants and nuts and is going really well. Awesome. Kay wants Jill to provide truffles. Actually, Jill's got out to the kitchen to do some more cooking. Sarah, you're going to try with a Valley Little Brownie. I think that could work as well. What you need, though, is the balance of chocolate and sweetness to go with the balance of fruit and acid in this wine, and it's always a tricky little mix. Paul and Roz, Noosa Chocolate Factory, Turkish Delight, dark chocolate. How is that with the wine, Paul and Roz? That sounds amazing. Turkish Delight, I think, could be really good or could be really dreadful with this wine. I'm not sure. The dark chocolate, absolutely, but I've never tried the Turkish Delight with Shiraz. So wow, okay, I'll have to give it a go. So to conclude, I think Shiraz, it's really good. If it's really good, Turkish Delight maybe. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Paul. Polly's come to say hi on the sofa. She's a bit over it all. Tallulah's here at my feet. She'd like to get back up on my knee. Kay has noticed that the wine is more candy. Is it candy-like when sat in the glass a bit longer? I think that's right, Kay. The confectionery kind of notes breathe up in the wine. Yeah. Nareem, the dye's got milk chocolate with fruit and nut as well. If you're going to experiment, may as well be in it. You like it? Excellent. A lot of people do like it. I find the milk chocolate, it's a little bit like the Mersey Valley cheese in a way that
it tastes really creamy, and the sweetness of the chocolate is yummy. But yeah, it's each to their own, I say. If you had some other cheeses as well, and that was the other thing I thought about, kind of saying, "Oh, get some Mersey Valley cheese and then get a really, fancy cheddar from, either from Tasmania or from England, and get a bit of this, get a bit of that." Fiona, you're getting an espresso note now. I see what you mean. There is a little bit of coffee bean espresso kind of character. And again, as I say, because we've been tasting food with it, mine's disappeared quite quickly. Paul and Roz are saying no acid, so I'm imagining that the rose flavour kind of takes the acid character out of the wine, which I think is really interesting. And that brings me back to something that I've spent the last 15 years of my life kind of eradicating perfumed skincare from my regime. And I've just recently added in a rose water and rose serum that I only use at night before I go to bed, and I don't use it when I'm going to be tasting wine. But I still worry that I'm missing some aromatics because of those rose petal notes in the skincare that I wear. So I think that those carrot. What have you fried up there, Pete? What? Spring rolls for us. That'll be lovely. And I think some deep fried food generally works very well with this wine because it's tangy and acid. But I'm gonna have a bit of trouble walking back from the chocolate now, I think. Connie, you're having some quince cheese now, which works quite well. Yeah, I think so. Anyone who's coming to lunch on Sunday, we're having a beautiful cheese that is I want spring rolls. I do too, Alison. We're having a beautiful cheese from the Basque country called Osso Arrati, and we're having it matched to a couple of Pinot Noirs. And traditionally, it's served with a spoonful of wild cherry jam. So we have the cherry jam. We also have some other cherries that have been preserved. I don't know what's going on with them, but they're delicious. They're sort of almondy. And we're going to serve the cheese, the Osso Arrati cheese with some jam and some preserved cherries. And I think that cheese and fruit preserves work really, really well with certain types of wine. So one of these days we will do a Pinot Noir and sheep's milk cheese and cherry jam tasting here. In the meantime, I think I'm going to love you guys and leave you because I'm going to go and have some spring rolls, if there are any left. And next week we're doing Devil Bean Creek Pinot Gris 2020. And we're going to really play with the food matching. We're gonna push that wine really hard. So watch this space. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week. I hope you've enjoyed our little experimenting with this lovely wine. Lots of fun food matches. Craig and everyone in the Goodman household, please get well very soon. And you too, Sue. Anyone who's feeling a bit seedy, get better soon. There's a lot of bugs going around at the moment. It's lots of fun. I'll see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Cheers.